Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is your host, June Archer, the Winner Circle, here for another amazing interview. My next guest, following his extensive career in entertainment, starring in the beloved fan favorite Nickelodeon's Keenan and Kel. He was also in All That, a cultural epic feature film. You guys may remember this. Welcome to Good Burger. And there were so many others. This young man has the opportunity to share his spiritual side. He has now authored, and you can't take that lightly. He has authored a book titled Bless Mode. He knows what it's like to struggle through depression and addiction. He also knows the power of God's presence to help you find not only freedom, but the blessings in your life. He's a youth pastor of the Spirit Food Christian Center. He is passionate about sharing his testimony and hope with the next generation to come. He wants to share this, and he wants to spread love with this new book called Bless Mode. Please welcome to the show my brother, my friend, Kel Mitchell. Kel, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, what's happening?
Man, it is a pleasure. I can't say it enough. We were backstage just talking about, some of the LA trips that I made during the music days, and just hanging out with you and having fun when we were just living our lives and hoping to get that next opportunity and chasing the dream, right?
Yeah.
And now you are this icon in television. You touched movies. You are now an author and a pastor. But more importantly, Kel, you are an amazing human being. How have you been doing throughout the pandemic, you and your family?
Man, I appreciate that. Man, good, man. I feel like this time, when it first hit, like in 2020, that was deep. You were thinking to yourself, like, yo, is this going to end at some point? You know what I mean? But then it kept going. And for me, it was a thing of like, okay, now this is the time to do the things that I've always wanted to do. You know what I mean? I was already busy anyway, but I could do that. And then also spending time with family. You know what I mean? Spending time with family, more time, having those real conversations. I feel like we got even stronger throughout this. And I think it's really been deep. For some families, they got stronger. For some, they got an awakening of certain things. You know what I
Right.
mean? During this pandemic. But yeah, it's a blessing. I even had my son during the pandemic. He's 1 year old now, but yeah, got a baby during the pandemic, and so yeah, it was deep. But I always say this: I say, find the Christ in the crisis, find the
Ooh.
joy in every circumstance. You know what
Share
I
that
mean?
again. Share that again, because I want somebody to
Yeah,
write that down. Kel.
yeah.
Find what
Find
now? What are we finding?
find Christ in the crisis.
Mm,
Right. So when there's a
yes.
crisis going on, there's trouble going on, know that you're going to be okay. He doesn't just leave you in those downtimes or when there's a turmoil or there's something going on, an obstacle or the trouble in the world. Just because we're believers, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be any trouble in this world, but know that God brings you through it. You know what I mean? He's
Mm.
going to get you through it. So that's the thing we got to know. Yeah.
And you've had the opportunity as a young actor to really make waves. You've reinvented yourself so many times, Kel. One of the
Mhm.
things that I'm so proud that you did was at the heat of the pandemic, and it might have started, I might have caught it a little late, and
Mhm.
I was so excited to see you reading children's stories
Yes. Yeah.
during the pandemic, because I think people forget that it wasn't just the adults that were affected. Our young people, our babies were affected by this. They
Yeah.
may not know the brevity of it, but they were home when they knew that they should have been in school. They were
Mm.
home when they wanted to go play with their classmates or their friends.
Yeah.
What made you think about reading them bedtime stories during that time? Like, was it more so for you, or was it for
well, my
what was the inspiration behind it?
my youngest daughter, she was in the house and she was kind of going stir crazy. It was school, Zoom school, and stuff like that. And I was already reading bedtime stories like all the time, to the kids. And so for me, I was just like, you know what? She's having so much fun with this. Let's do this for other kids or other parents that just want a little bit of a moment. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
let me read to your kids. You know what I mean? At this moment, I'm already reading to mine. So let me do this for your kids. And what was beautiful, man, it was emotional because I had moms hitting me up like, man, thank you. You know what I mean? I got a little second, you know what I mean? Just to, go do something or sit down or watch something while they watching you. So that was cool. I didn't know it was going to hit like that. I originally just did it as like, a good gesture, but I didn't know it was gonna hit like that, and it was a beautiful thing, And my daughter she loves it. She
Through the
loves
roof. Now,
it.
for
Yeah,
you during that time, what
yeah,
were some of the lessons that you were sharing with your daughter? While reading,
yeah,
while actually, sharing this moment with your fans, if I will,
yeah,
and spending that time because you make time for the important things in your life, right? And you were doing that. But what were
yeah.
some of the lessons? What were some of the gems that you were sharing with your daughter during that time?
Man, really just because I have older kids too. I have my babies, and it was really about love during this time,
Mm,
because love and responding in love and doing that in such a way where it's like now we're around each other 24/7. You know what I mean? Like that daddy ain't going to work, mama not going to work. We all here,
right.
and during this quarantine. And then the kids are thinking like, well, I'm here. I can't go play with my friends. I can't go do what I normally do. We can't go outside. We got to wear a mask and all these different things. And so within that time, just really finding like, okay, well, tell me what you do enjoy. Who can we call at this moment? Like really FaceTime. Thank God for whoever made FaceTime because it's an awesome thing where we got to use these devices to really like call family. I said, we're all together in family, but who can we hit up? Someone that's older than us that might not have family right now. Who can we go talk to? Who can we go pray with? And that was very important to me that I showed the kids that, you know what I mean? And even like some of the toys we got, can we go give them away? So I would go to Salvation Army, go drive over and like share some other toys with other kids. We were doing that just really like how can we show joy and love during this time for other families as well. The whole blessing and being a blessing. You know what I mean? We get blessed by being a blessing. And I did that with my kids, and then I also did it with my youth at my church. We had to go online for preaching. I mean, so we're doing Bible study and we were also doing Sunday church. And I talk about that in Blessed Mode in my book. But also people were getting saved all around the world where it was like now
Mm.
people were watching us in the UK. People were watching us in South Africa. So that's what I mean about finding the Christ in the crisis. Because now I probably wouldn't even reach that person. You know what I mean?
Right.
All the way over there. Or they might not have been in the house because they were too busy of whatever they were doing. Now they have to be. And it's like, well, let me search. Wow, this what I just saw just changed my whole perspective, and that's what was beautiful for me. Connecting in a different way. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I appreciate the alley oop. So
Yeah.
we might as well get to it. Let's talk about this book. What was the inspiration? Bless
Yeah.
Mode, 90 days to level up your faith.
Yeah.
What put you in a frame of mind to want to share this mindset with readers?
Well, there was a time where I would go online and I would do Mr. Mitchell morning motivation. And I would get up in the morning because I get up at like 4 a.m., work out, meditate, pray. And so then after I was done, I would say a few words of motivation on my Instagram story. And I called it Mr. Mitchell Morning Motivation. Then I started going through like ups and downs and things I was going through. And I didn't feel like, oh man, I don't know if I feel like doing Mr. Mitchell Morning Motivation. And my wife was like, no, you continue to do it. You do it, motivate people and it motivates yourself. And I said, you're right, babe. You're right. And so I did that and I kept doing it. And what I found in doing that, it was actually helping me while I was helping others.
Right.
And then so I continued to do those. And it kind of like was the start of Bless Mode. It really was the start of that because it's like really saying, yeah, you go through a lot of the feels during the day, like, emotions, stress, whatever you might be dealing with when you go to bed that night. And then when you wake up, you still might have that on you. So the thing about it is that why not connect to God who knows your future? knows everything about you, who just wants joy and peace for you, and you're going to get through it. So why not go pray for your family, pray for yourself, forgive others, whatever you need to do, get that done before your day even starts. And that's like the bless mode, where like that's where I had like the game analogy with it, where that now you know what the designer knows, you know, the person that designed you. When someone designs a video game and you get a cheat code because they designed that game, now you know what's happening within that game.
Right.
With bless mode, it's kind of like we're not cheating life, but now we're getting the best of life because the one who designed us, now we have a connection with him, you know, during your day. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted us to motivate people, knowing we are all part of the same family and we are loved. And that's why I created Bless Mode. I got it right here.
That's what I'm talking. So we're going to dive into it, right? Let's talk about these cheat codes now, Kel. Let's talk about these cheat codes. For you, you had a second opportunity. Divorced, had children, remarried, children. There are people who have been broken. There are people who have gone through divorce and loss, have not found their way since, cannot find the light at the end of the tunnel. Is there and I just when I say cheat code, because it is work, right? There is work. But is there a key to success? Is there a gem, a word of advice that you have been given, or one that you stand on that got you through that tough time? Because we know divorce can't be easy. We know splitting up a household or home can't be easy. You have shown us that you can come back and still have happiness, still have God in your life and in your heart, and still find peace and happiness. What would be the word of wisdom that you could give someone who's going through that tough time right now? Yeah,
it would be respond in love. What I just talked about earlier. Now, that's hard to do because you go through something like that. And of course, things come up of like, well, I'm angry about this and I'm hurt about this and I'm hurt about that and this, that, and other. But then when you realize like, it's time to respond in love, forgive yourself, forgive the other person, and just get into a space where now you have to go, okay, what did I learn from this? What did I learn from this? Because a lot of times you'll see people, they'll go to another relationship and then it's the same thing that happens. You know what I mean? Or they go to another relationship and then that's turmoil, or they're attracting toxic people. You know what I mean? And so in my life, it was a thing where I had to say, okay, Kel, it's time for you to get close to God and really understand who you really are, right? And then also cut off some things and cut off some choices and your response to things and your way of life, how you're doing it, you got to switch it around, you know? And when I did that, and I just really started to say, focus on why I'm here, my real purpose in life, and to forgive others and to forgive myself. And I had to pray every day. That's like really part of Bless Mode too, as well, where I was praying every day, getting my mind right. And even when I was going through court systems over years and things of that nature and all that stuff, and fighting to see my kids and all those different things, it was very hurtful because a lot of men go through that. You know what I mean? They go through that. But the thing about it is that when I was going through it, it's like, man, why I have to go through this? What is going on? And then I realized that life is about choices. God gives us free will, right? He gives us free will. He gives us choices. And so we can make those choices, but we can't control the consequences of those choices. So you got to make sure that your choices are righteous. You know what I mean? And that your choices are always righteous, and that you're living in a lifestyle that's obedient to God. You know what I mean? And so for me, I realized like a lot of my choices got me to where I was, as far as like, oh, the different relationships that I was in, and the relationship that didn't go right. But if I hadn't made those choices and I was living for God, I probably wouldn't have married that person in the first place.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. And so now you have to understand that. But now it's like, okay, well, it happened for a reason. Got two beautiful kids out of the situation. And so now it's showing love and kindness. No matter what is thrown at you, you throw that love and kindness back. No matter if the other person isn't, you do that.
And I was going to ask you that. And I was going to ask you that. Kel, what about Kel? They hurt me first, Kel. or they don't treat me right, Kel.
Yeah.
How do I respond in love? How does that
True.
person respond in love, as you
True.
say?
I went through all of that, and that's true, because it was like, but wait, you did this to me, you did it. And the thing about it is that nothing happens from that. If you respond in anger towards someone else being toxic or being angry, right? If you respond in that way, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And the thing about it is that we, at the end of the day, you have to understand we're spirits, right? And so I'm gonna get a little deep with you, okay? So
no, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We're spirits. So the thing about it is that even within sex, when you are having sex and people say you have sex with everybody, has sex with, and all those different things, the thing about it is that you have to understand that's why it's so important, because you're mixing spirits. And that's why a lot of times people, when they break up, they're still angry because they're connected spiritually. Right. And that's the thing, right?
It's a piece of you. You're walking away with a piece of that person.
With you, because you mixed spirits. You became one. So you're literally pulling that. So whatever stress and anger. And so when they call and your heart breathing and all that stuff, because you're still taking that. And so what's deep about it is that I met an evangelist that broke this down to me. And I tell brothers this all the time. All right. So the thing about it is that if you're in any type of toxic relationship and you're having sex, the thing about it, what you got to do is that you have to ask God to remove your spirit from their spirit, and then their spirit remove it from yours. You have to say that, because his mouth is powerful. The word of God is powerful.
The tongue is powerful.
Yes. And you say it in Jesus' name. And when I did that, and then I also forgave myself and others, and not even before that relationship, and then the relationships afterwards, as I had relationships after that, after divorce, that didn't go well either. You know what I mean? So any relationship, anyone that I laid down with, all those, I had to do that. So I said all those names, which is really deep. And there's a freeing that happens within that. Right? There's a real freeing that happens within that. And then now you're going into it now where it's like, okay, Lord, I'm walking with you. And I learned from it. That's why I always say there's no mistakes. There's just learning. So now you learn from it. And when you respond to love, it's almost like when you go up to someone else that doesn't, it's like that they have a malfunction. You know what I mean?
Right, because your spirit doesn't take to that person.
Right. And the old buttons that they use to push for you doesn't work anymore. And here's what's beautiful about it, fellas. When you got kids and you have that and you do that and you respond in that way and you respond in love and kindness, the kids see that. And that's what's beautiful, because it's like, it's the consistency. It's the consistency of love. And that's something to write down, consistency of love, because then your kids start to see your consistency of love and they go, well, yeah, this person said this about you, about dad, or said this about mom, but mom responded in love, dad responded in love, and it's always this consistency. And when I'm with dad or I'm with mom, he's not talking bad about the other side. You see what I'm saying? Right. And there's really this love, and that's so important. That's so important, and it takes time. It's not like it's gonna happen overnight, y'all.
And it's work, and it is work, and it is work. All right,
but so kids appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. So we talked about the sex piece. We talked about the love. We talked about responding in kindness and responding in love. I want to strip back this piece called communication. And people always say, well, when it comes to relationship, communication is key. Communication is key. And I've been finding myself in a very sticky place where I don't think that communication is the key, Kel. And I want to decode that. I think understanding how each other communicates is the key. But I want to get your perspective on it. And how did you communicate in your past relationship that allowed you to communicate differently in your new relationship?
Well, in the past, there were no communication in the past relationships. You know what I mean? Because in the past relationships, I didn't have a good sense of self. If that makes sense. I didn't have a good sense of who I was within those relationships. I think what you really have to do is that love, and in relationships, when you say it, we're one, right? When you really are saying we are one,
we are yoked.
You are yoked, equally yoked. I wasn't equally yoked in any of my prior relationships. My relationship that I have with Asia, my beautiful wife, we are equally yoked, right? And the thing about it is that the reason why communication is key, it's I understand what you're saying, but then there's also a love language. Love language. Everybody
Talk
has
about it. Let's talk about it.
everybody let's talk about it.
Talk about it.
So everybody has a different love language, right? And some people, that love language could be, a touch, a hug, or something like that. Or others is well, I just want to feel appreciated, or this, that, and the other, and then others is that structure. I like structure. And it's like everyone has different ones, right? And so the key is learning your wife or your husband's love language, right? And that doesn't mean sex. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why people say communication is key, because how are you communicating love? And a lot of people communicate love in the wrong way because of prior relationships. So you can't bring prior relationships into a new relationship, but people don't realize they do it because of the spiritual connection.
The spirit
that I was talking about earlier. So they don't realize that they're doing that. That's why it's so important that you let go of that. And so when that's gone, and now you're coming into this new relationship, brand new. It was so to the point that with me and my wife, that we remained celibate before we, before we got married. We were celibate. We had relationships and things of that nature, but it was important to us. You know what I mean? To do that. And I tell you what, the love that was the communication of love was so dope, because it's like, it was like those movies where you see people dating back in the 40s, you know what I mean? When you really and you really like, and
putting in the work. You were putting in the work
for the heart, like if this woman is important to you and you love this woman, it shouldn't be, oh, I just want to hit. No. It should be that I want her heart, our hearts to be together. You know what I mean? I'm here for you. You're my best friend. You know what I mean? And that's what's so beautiful. And that's why we're in our relationship, it's nothing that anybody can tell me about my wife that I don't know. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that we communicate, and then also within prayer, we communicate, meaning that I communicate if we have anything that we're going through. We communicated with God individually, and then we come together and pray as well. And then what was confirmed in our prayer and different times with God, it connects. The whole thing about it is that you got to make sure God is in the middle of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you got to be able to do that. And meaning by God in the middle of it is that God really wants to see the real you. So don't you really want to see the real, you know what I mean?
No. I think that's important. That's super important. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, you're looking for a lifetime of being with this person that you love. I think it's super important. You've been at this for so many years, Kel. What keeps you motivated? What motivates you?
Man, what motivates me? What motivates me, of course, is getting up every morning and doing what God has. How can I say this? Because I get this question a lot. It's the thing of it is that I want to show people that it's possible. You know what I mean? Show people that it's possible. If there's a dream that you want, if there's something that you want to get to, like, look, man, I'm from the south side of Chicago. I'm a kid, you know what I mean? And I came up a lot of different obstacles. And what's beautiful about it, though, is that the things I dreamed about, the things that I wanted to accomplish, it might have not been the way where I thought it was going to be like, boom, like just like that. I went a lot of ups and downs, as we spoke about, right? But within those ups and downs, I want to let people know not to give up. And that's the thing that really motivates me, is that I don't want anybody to give up. I don't want anybody to take their life. Suicide is rapid right now. Mental health is rapid right now, because people are getting to the point where I just want to give up. I don't feel like I want to go, continue life anymore. And the thing about it is that you were born for a purpose. You were born for a reason, and you can really go after your dreams and help others. We all have a story. The Bible is full of stories.
Yeah.
Of if you look at the Bible, it's all these different names, right? So it's all these different names. These are people that live real lives. And I think a lot of times when people look at the Bible, it's like, oh, it's these characters in the story. No, these were really people that lived on the earth and had all these crazy stories. But when you look at it, it's like a hall of fame of faith. Like, like they got through it through their faith. You know what I mean? My pastor talks about that hall of fame of faith. You know what I mean? So you really gotta look at that. And so now it's going, yo, they're the big homie. You know what I mean? If you grew up, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
that's a GPS system. That's your GPS system. That's
real
a way to help you navigate life.
Yeah. And reason why I did blessed mode is because that's like the cracking the door open on that. You know what I mean? Like, so for people that maybe not, grew up in church, maybe not, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, but I like Kel. I've watched his shows. I watched his TV. I've heard a bit of his story. Let me read this book. And then as you read, God's love still goes through it, because the thing is that I'm allowing God to design this whole thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Let it flow through you.
Flow through me.
That's it. For those who are interested in getting the book, Blessed Mode, and they're looking to figure out what they could do for these next 90 days.
Yeah.
If you were to pick one chapter that would inspire someone to read this book, and you say, listen, if you read this chapter, I got you. Yeah. Which chapter would you choose for somebody to read today?
Yeah. You know what? I believe all the chapters are good. And the reason why I say that is because what's cool about this devotional is that it's a new story every day. Right. And what might be stressful for someone might not be stressful for someone else. And what someone might see as a blessing, someone else might not see. So I want you to see this with your eyes and your perspective of how you find it, but just understand that what it's going to do is touch you in a way where the love is going to hit your heart so much, you know what I mean? Where that you are ready for your day. That's why I really use the video game analogy. And in my book trailer as well, I have that, because I just want you to know who designed you. Yeah, your mom and dad made you, so you look like them. You got their skin. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? But who designed you, your spiritual self? It's time to tap into that, because when you tap into that, things are unstoppable. You know what I mean? You can get through a lot, and you can get through anything. You know what I mean? And so when people tell you things like, oh, you're not going to make it, but what about your uncle? What about the people that you grew up with? Oh, I know your family and this, that, and it's kind of like, no. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my path. We're breaking generational curses. We're breaking this. Like, I want people to understand that God designs you for a reason. And yes, it's sin in this world, but don't let it overtake you to the point where you can't see through. You know what I mean? I want you to see.
Right. I want you and don't block your blessings along the way.
Come on. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, listen, before I let you go, brother, music is a soundtrack to our lives.
Word.
For you, what song best represents your journey up to this point, or which artist represents your journey up to this point? A song that may inspire someone after hearing how it touched you.
Wow. That's a deep question, man, because I love so much music that I just enjoy. But in this book, I bring them up twice, and I bring up Sounds of Blackness. And Sounds of Blackness was a soundtrack to my life in Chicago, because I went to ETA, Creative Arts Foundation, a theater that really changed my life. You know what I mean? And so that's where I found acting. You know what I mean? And one of our biggest shows was we danced to Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness, and being optimistic in the situation. You know what I mean? Just because everyone else might look at it and not see, the blessing in something, but you look at it and see the blessing, being optimistic, in the time of trouble, knowing that you can get through it. I'm going to shout out Sounds of Blackness on that, because, it's a lot of songs that you listen to as a kid. And then as you get older, and you go back and you re-listen, and them lyrics start to speak to you in a whole different way, bro.
A little different.
Hit a little different, right?
Like I heard it differently back then, but now that I hear it, It kind of hit me right here.
Come on. Come on. Yeah. That's definitely one of the ones, man. Definitely.
And I appreciate you sharing that journey. One of the things, if I can, I just started the June Archer School of Arts, and I want you just said that you were in the performing arts school.
Yeah.
How important, Kel, is it for us to allow our young people, for the June Archer School of Arts, we teach them about the business of music, graphic design, filmmaking, photography, DJing. How important is it for us to allow our young people to be creative and give them opportunities and putting them in the environment in these performing arts schools?
It's so important. You know what I mean? My father is a psychologist and my mom is a teacher. So I was around that a lot. You know what I mean? And the thing is that what I've come to learn and what I think people need to understand is that everybody learns differently. You know what I mean? And so some kids get it through a creative way. You know what I mean? So don't just give up on them because they didn't get it the first time. Like maybe they'll get it through music. Maybe they'll get it, through, acting, through arts, through all these different things, and then finding their purpose through that. So I'm always supporting the arts because of that fact, because it's kind of like you see kids blossom. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, wow, this is what I've always been looking for. And now and it opens up new doors. And you see them just getting over hurdles, and they're so educated in it, moving really fast. It's so important. It's so important. Yeah.
I thank you so much. I hope you guys really took a understanding to what Kel has shared with us today. Whenever there's a crisis, find Christ in the crisis. When you find yourself in those positions, respond with love. And when you're in love, as Kel said, figure out what that love language is so that the communication could be what you need to continue to grow, pouring water and sunlight on these relationships. And at the end of the day, do it because you love it. Do it because you want to inspire someone, right? And if nothing else, everyone talks about beast mode, but ladies and gentlemen, it's all about blessed mode. That is Kel Mitchell. I am June Archer. Where can we like you? Where can we follow you? Where can we get the book, Kel?
Yeah, the book is everywhere books are sold. I'm super excited about that. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target. Target is doing an awesome thing for Black History Month where they're putting me right up in the front on the display. Bless Mode. Go get it. Google it. Let it bless somebody today.
Yeah, we appreciate you. I love you, brother. It was a pleasure. I can't even wait for what the next level is for you, because it's going to be another level. And I know that it ain't designed for you to have any cheat codes. It's all about what's in your heart. So once again, that's Kel Mitchell. I'm your host, June Archer. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And listen, tell somebody you love them today. It may be the last opportunity you have to do so. So with that said, Kel, I love you, brother.
Love you too, brother.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.